Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the East Coast Hunt, Fish, Hike podcast. This is a short teaser episode with a little clip of what you can expect from Season 2, Episode 1. In this one, I recap all the ups and downs of pulling my tree stands in the late winter.
That's right, folks. Pat encounters some terrain challenges that make things a whole lot more difficult for him during this one, and it's one you are not going to want to miss. And as always, if you enjoy hunting, fishing, and hiking stories like these, make sure to follow us on Instagram at EC underscore hunt fish hike underscore pod and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode.
All right, thanks for following along, and remember to get outside and have some fun out there. As far as hunting is concerned in the spring, it's a lot of, pulling down trail cameras, pulling down tree stands, getting my stuff out of the woods, and in order to prepare for the fall. So I did have 3 tree stands up this year in various portions of the woods that I hunt. And, based on the fact that we had a good 2 feet of snow on the ground for an extended portion of time. I wasn't really able to pull those tree stands out like I normally do. Usually I'll go in February and pull those tree stands out, but I wasn't able to do that just based on how much snow I had on the ground. Walking through 2 feet of snow in order to pull those tree stands out
Yeah.
for like a mile would be a bit of an endeavor. So I opted to wait until some of that snow was melted before pulling those tree stands. But because of that, I didn't really have a good day that I could commit to going into the woods and pulling all those stands out. I mean, usually it takes me a few hours, and with other life commitments and kiddos, you never have multiple hours that you can just commit to doing something like that. So generally what I'll do is kind of treat it like a hunting day and go in super early. I'll go
Yeah.
in at 6 o'clock in the morning, walk in while the sun's coming up, and then kind of pull as many as I can before I get to 8 or 9 o'clock, and then I can head on home and take on my dad responsibilities. So that was the plan here. I went in right around 6 a.m. Called up my dad, got a little bit of support from him to be able to help out with being able to pull those tree stands up. Met him at the trailhead, and then we walked in. The first one I was gonna pull was the one that was the deepest in. It was down along kind of like a marshy area, so it was probably about 3/4 of a mile through relatively thick timber, not like on a 4-wheeler trail, just walking through the woods. So made my way out there. I did have a trail camera. Swapped that one out, put some new batteries in that guy, put a new memory card in there. And pulled that tree stand down. So that was the first one. Grabbed that, threw it on the bag, and since it was about 3/4 of a mile in, we decided to bring that back to the car and drop that off before going to get tree stand number 2. All well and good, no issues there. Pretty happy with that. Did take a look around that area to see if there's any additional sign. Didn't see much. It was kind of consistent with what I had seen previously. So for tree stand number 2, generally, I guess not generally, that tree stand I like to access from a different parking lot. So the plan, and I say the plan because you'll hear this story a little bit later. If I
Oh
wasn't
boy.
if we weren't going to access it from a different parking lot, it's about it's like 3/4 of a mile, and down like a 4-wheeler trail, and then a 1/4 mile into the woods. So it's about a mile to the stand, and then it would be a mile back. If you access it from the other side, it's like a half mile, like a 1/4 mile on the trail and a 1/4 mile in the woods. So you cut off about a half mile, probably a total about a mile of walking if you can drive around. And it's like a 10-minute drive. So we're like, all right, cool, not a problem. We'll just drive around. We'll park. We'll grab the tree stand, and we'll hit it back to the car. It'll be no problem. There was actually a secondary tree stand in there too we'd be able to pull both of them at the same time. So we hop in our cars, we start driving around. One of the roads that's the quickest way to get there is kind of like a dirt road, and evidently in the spring, when all that 2 feet of snow is melting, the marsh goes high enough that that it's an impassable road. So that road
Oh,
was closed. So that was a little bit less than ideal, but nevertheless, we persevered. Took a little bit of a different turn in order to go that way. We added probably, this usually a 10-minute drive, probably ended up being like a 15-minute drive. Not too bad. So we make our way back around that way, and we get to the trailhead. Great, not a problem. So we get out of our cars, we grab the gear, ready to grab these last 2 tree stands and make our way back home, figuring it'll be nice and easy. We start walking along the path, and we realize that kind of the same issue that was going on with the road and why that was washed out has also happened to the trail. So
oh
now
no.
the trail that I could usually walk, like in our normal drought conditions or during the fall when you can usually walk right down this path, maybe you'll get your boots a little bit wet. Well, there's an area here that's about waist deep in water. So, judging by the fact that neither of us have waders and we're not planning on swimming across this thing in order to get these tree stands, we're a little bit out of luck. So ultimately what we had to do was, instead of wade across, head back to our cars. At this point, Dad was like, unfortunately I don't have another hour to commit to driving back around to our original spot and getting those tree stands out of there, so he had to head home. Me, I decided to take that long drive back around to the original parking lot in order to go back right where I started. Ended up losing probably close to an hour between the road that was washed out and the other path that was washed out. Did manage to walk that long way to get one of my other 2 tree stands out of the woods, so I managed to get 2 total out, but there was still a third one left. At this time,
Yeah.
I ran out of time. I had to get back to the kiddos and
Yeah.
the family. It had been 3 hours, so it was time. So I abandoned my last tree stand. It was the easiest one to get, so I figured I could jump in there another time and grab that third one, which I actually did this past weekend. But yeah, so I got those 2, went back home, and decided to do the third one another day. And yeah, as I said, did that this weekend. Hopped in, same idea. Went in at like 6 a.m. Walked in, climbed up the tree. Actually took like a 5-minute break up at the top of the tree as the sun was rising. It was actually really peaceful to like get up there.
Oh,
I was
nice.
like kind of pretending I was hunting, because I mean, obviously don't have the time
Yeah.
to. It's not hunting season, but like anytime you're up in a tree stand with the sun breaking, it's always kind of a nice
Yeah, I know.
morning. So I took a 5-minute breather up there to kind of center
Yeah.
myself, and then broke down the tree stand, trapped it on my back, set up a trail camera, kind of scouted a little bit to try and determine what tree I wanted to use next year, because kind of as I alluded to in my wrap up episode from last year, I feel like I was a little bit farther away from the marsh than I needed to be. So trying to track down a tree that's going to work a little bit closer to that marshy area, a little bit closer to the action, which I think I did determine, which is good. But yeah, that was kind of the benefit of being able to go in another time, spend a little bit of extra time in order to figure out what tree I want next year, or this year, I guess. But yeah, the tree stands are out, so that's good. finally
That's good.
finally got
That's
them out of the
definitely
woods. I like doing that because then I can, one, it keeps them from being vandalized. You can have issues with that. People stealing them also can sometimes be an issue. But also it allows you to like take a look at them, make sure that they're working the way they're supposed to. Nothing's rusted. None of your straps are breaking, so that when you go to set them up next time,
yeah.
they're still in a safe working condition. So that is kind of where I'm at as far as tree stands goes, which is good. Thanks for listening to the East Coast Hunt, Fish, Hike podcast. If you have questions, comments, or have an idea for an episode, feel free to follow us and reach out over social media. Don't forget to rate, review, or tell your friends about the podcast. And until you hear from us again, get outside. Have some fun out there.